Welcome to China Focus. I'm Shelley Zhang. It's the most popular and fastest growing internet and mobile messaging platform in China. WeChat, made by the internet company Tencent, has 300 million users. And those users are outraged over reports that Tencent will start to charge for the WeChat service. But in an odd twist, it's not Tencent that wants to charge its users. Instead, it's China's three big state-owned telecom companies. They say that WeChat is taking away their business, and they want Tencent to charge so they can take parts of the proceeds. And now even the government has stepped in with the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology coming in to mediate this between the companies. Here today to talk about this issue and what it means for Western businesses doing business in China, Chen Zhifei and Jason Ma. Yeah. So when I first heard about this, it seemed very bizarre to me. Can another company really force your company to charge when you don't want to?
Indeed, they can. I mean, in the past, we know when people all over the world are using voice over IP, it's illegal inside China. Why? Because all the telecommunication phone companies are state-run, so they make that illegal to use voice over IP. And later on, in order to promote their own wireless local network, they also consider all the cell phone with Wi-Fi function as illegal. So in the past, they successfully did all this kind of thing to maintain their kind of dominant.
So you can't if you have like an iPhone in China, there's no Wi-Fi capability?
Before 2011, that's the case. All the official iPhone sold in China has no Wi-Fi functions.
Oh, I didn't know that. That explains why everybody was coming here to buy the phones. Well, let me ask about this. Like, what are they so upset about with WeChat? What in particular is it?
Well, for now, the service is free. And now we're looking at a very tricky market that is the Chinese one, where people have very limited purchasing power. And they took a lot of things for granted, especially service was provided by some recognizable and state-owned company think they should be subsidized. And so this macro chatting was very popular platform for them to communicate. The service have gone viral, spreading across the ocean into Chinese community here in the United States, believe it or not. My wife and her friends, all white-collar professional users all the time as well. So they were also struck by this imposition of a fee. To give you some idea about the effect of the extent of this new rule possibly implemented, they have like 300 million people using that. That's really a lot of potential dollar at stake.
Right.
So what is the application? It's basically kind of like you can message each other, you can send pictures and things like that.
Right, exactly. That's exactly the case. Basically, they take away all kinds of service right now, making money for those state-run telecommunication companies, like the instant message service, the multimedia message service, sometimes even international phone call or local long-distance phone call. So all these kind of phone service, message service are taken away by this popular WeChat. So with the losing kind of money by these state-run telecommunication companies, they are seeing this WeChat becoming their biggest enemy. And in the past, they can easily ask the Chinese government to set up a rule to make that illegal. In this case, it's difficult for them to do it just because the scale of its user. Right now, 300 million, which is the whole population of US, like equivalent. I mean, because so many people are using it, and they regret they didn't really kill this at the very beginning. But now they are facing kind of 300 million people. So the issue on any new policy will have a very huge impact on the Chinese net citizen.
Well, I want to ask, aren't they making money off of this as well? Because don't they, pay for the bandwidth? Like if you
right. I mean, that's the argument of lesson. Lesson with the company.
Tencent.
Yes. That's the argument of Tencent. Tencent said, yes, I bring all this traffic to you. I mean, so you are making money out of this traffic, but they said. What you hurt me more than kind of the
it's a little mind-boggling for me to digest all that is happening and being discussed here. My take of the story Jason relayed to us is it's like in a US setting, suddenly YouTube said, I have to charge you a fee for accessing my video clips in my website, and Comcast or Verizon got very mad at that, even though they brought in more audience or more users. It's a little kind of hard to explain.
No, it's more like this. It's more like a Comcast force YouTube to charge anyone to view YouTube because you use my traffic. So in US, there is something called a net neutrality law. Basically, that law prohibit the carrier like Comcast, like Verizon Files to do something like this. But in China, there is, although there is kind of a similar principle, but which is meaningless under all these kind of situations.
So is the root cause the fact that Verizon or Comcast are all private companies, just like YouTube or Netflix, but while in China, the carriers are all state-owned, and the Chinese government see them as a strategic asset that nobody can share, so that probably triggered this whole
So I was going to ask about that, because basically you're dealing with China Unicom, China Telecom, China Mobile, like the three big telecom providers in China, and then what happened now is the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology is saying, I'm going to come in and I'm going to mediate this. I'm going to make sure that this is fair for all parties, Tencent and these companies.
But the problem is this mediator is not an unbiased kind of person, because they are closer to all the three big state-owned companies. And the relationship between this department and the state-owned company is they are the same family, and the CEO of Unicorn can be yesterday's department head of this.
Yeah,
basically they are all party officials. I mean, the CEO of all the three companies are party officials. They are at the equivalent level of the department head.
Yeah.
So basically they are comrades.
Yeah, it's hard to decipher this well for a Western audience, but I heard that if you want to rank the human resource department around the world, of all companies, government, the biggest one would be the Chinese Communist Party personnel department or organization department, because they handle all the personnel changes. And in the eyes of those apparatchiks, the heads of those three companies could be equally likely to be transferred in several months to the post of the minister of the telecommunication department.
So basically, there's obviously a bias here, because what makes money for these state-owned companies is what makes money for the government,
It cannot be tolerated in a Western setting. It's really a true kind of interpretation of Chinese free market economy. This is not a level playing field. It means that those people who are playing in the field are also referees. They set the rules, they play the rules.
Well, let me ask about the reaction of the users. People are angry about this. There was even a survey that said, but basically 95% of people will stop using WeChat,
basically, that's what he's saying. This survey tells Tencent, if they have to charge fees, basically they spend $1 billion to build this popular service, will be dying. And once this policy come out, so basically it's killing this company by this policy.
But this company has been very successful in the past.
I mean,
they have been very
obedient.
deep into collusion.
Tencent makes QQ, right? Which was the dominant.
Successfully, I mean, at the very beginning, and the Chinese users are using the instant message all over the world, like from Microsoft, from Skype, and Tencent successfully beat all other foreign companies out of the instant message market and dominated, and then help Chinese government to control the instant message area. So they are closely filling all the kind of unpopular kind of message, help Chinese government. So they are Chinese government's another kind of baby, but it's adopted. But it's kind of but because of this kind of all the state kind of three kind of big telecom companies, they are their own kids. This is adopted kids, and they still kind of are biased to their own kids.
So basically, Tencent, even though they closely have this close relationship with the Chinese government. And I remember years ago, being on Tencent and on QQ when it first was getting big and chatting with an internet police officer. Like they're directly on there, like talking to people. They will still be kind of not really consider the fact that they're going, like you said, Jason, kill this company if they force them to charge.
This is to kill a huge amount of this company, right? So I guess, of course, everything is not decided. I mean, it's still at a kind of stage of discussion. Although the Chinese media and the Chinese officials saying they will charge something, it's just how to charge, what's the amount. And meanwhile, Tencent will, in order to maintain their popular service, they keep saying like all the potential future charge is a rumor. So we haven't seen the final result.
So could something be like Tencent has to pay something to the telecom companies, but doesn't charge the users?
Basically, that's what I'm saying right now. Basically, probably all the three telecommunication companies will charge attention for all this service, but whether the charge is big enough so that the Tencent has to pass that to the user, or it's kind of small enough for the Tencent to observe it and then still provide a free service to the user is an unknown situation.
So let me ask what this means for Western companies, right? A lot of people watching, what does it mean for, what if I had developed a popular app that became big in China? Could I get
that's really a very instructive case, really. That's why it has attracted so much attention, because it really tells you the true situation in China, what kind of competitive environment you have to come to grips with. There you can see that you really have to collude with the government regime, and even though you have been very faithful, you have been very loyal to them, just as happened with Apple, still you are sometimes on the chopping block for them to give you some trouble. And apparently there is a food chain. On top of the whole pyramid of a chain or a pecking order is the princelings, and then state-owned companies, and then probably Chinese domestic entrepreneurs. And at the bottom would be the foreign companies, because they will always be cast some kind of doubt, and they're always skeptical. And so for those foreign companies that really want to dabble in Chinese market, they have to be cautious, especially in the sector of high tech.
Indeed, some people saying Apple was kind of bullied by the Chinese medians. One of the reasons is probably something like that, because Apple do have this iMessage, which is also bypass the Chinese messenger service, and also they have FaceTime, which is can call everyone globally without a video chat without using kind of phone service. So I guess some people always say it's because they also take a small piece of pie of all the state-run companies, so they kind of ran into this problem.
My understanding is it's really about some political consideration on part of Chinese authority, because they see the dissemination of information and sharing of knowledge very important as kind of strategic to their survival. So they really want to make sure the people handle this kind of service is their cohorts. They don't want to put the service in the hands of foreign ownership, nor do they trust the private sector that much. They really want to make sure it's all monopolized by the state-owned companies. I think probably that's the ultimate thinking.
No, I think it's probably opposite. I mean, what's the purpose to control the information? At this moment, I think it's a key is for their asset to maximized. The party's asset. In a state-run company is their own asset. That's really, really their baby. That's what they depend, even they lose their power in China. So I guess anything can hurt their state companies' assets.
So both from a political angle, you're saying, and an economic angle,
right.
you have everything is stacked against you.
It's like political and commercial interests converge, and then that results in this kind of harsh decision they have to make.
So if you're a Western company, I mean, you can't not go into China. What are you going to?
I made my point clear last time already. Well, if you happen to be operating in a so-called strategic areas, telecommunications, finance, well, it's very hard to compete with.
Yeah, you kind of right now the people are doing some by collaborating with some state-run kind of company, and so be part of them. But of course, major profit will be theirs, and so you will be just a small partner. So you shouldn't expect you play big. In China.
Even though you are Apple, the recent capitulation of Apple shows that.
Thank you both for coming and talking to us about this issue. And thanks for watching. For more on this and other issues in China, join us at ntd.tv.